I'm Monica Reed, 32, a financial analyst in Bakersfield, California. My family's always been my anchor, or so I believed. Last spring, I pitched a dream trip to London for my parents' 30th anniversary. I spent weeks planning every stop: Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, a riverfront dinner on the Thames. I offered to cover most of the costs, even for my brother, his wife, and their kid. Everyone was on board, their excitement lighting up our FaceTime calls from Fresno, just a 2-hour drive away. Then, 6 weeks before we were set to go, Mom called. "Sweetie, we can't swing it," she said, her voice heavy. "Money's tight and your dad's back is flaring up again." I trusted her completely. I even offered to pay more, but she shut it down, saying a quiet dinner at home would do. Heartbroken but supportive, I drove back to Fresno, hoping to brighten their day. Later, while scrolling through Facebook, I froze at my brother's post. 50 photos, smiles, landmarks, my family at the London Eye Tower Bridge, my exact itinerary. No me. My stomach dropped. They'd taken my plan, my dream, and left me behind. I stared at their captions about the perfect family trip, my fingers trembling over a text from Mom asking for a quick favor. I knew my next move would shake things up. Ever been blindsided by those you trust most? Share your story below and subscribe to see how I faced this betrayal. Growing up in Fresno, California, our house was always buzzing with laughter. As a kid, I was the one who never backed down from a task. I'd spend Saturday mornings with my father, Stanley Lee, a retired mechanic, under the hood of his old Chevy passing wrenches, while grease stained my fingers. My mother, Virginia Lee, a retired bank clerk, filled the house with the smell of her cooking, but her focus always seemed to linger on my brother. My brother, Craig Lee, 3 years older, had a charm that could sell ice in a snowstorm. His quick wit and easy smile made him the family favorite, especially after he dove into real estate. I didn't mind. Being the dependable one felt like my place. Craig's wife, Pamela Lee, and their daughter, Mia Lee, rounded out our family. Pamela, a marketing coordinator, matched Craig's flair for the dramatic, while 10-year-old Mia was their little star. My aunt, Joanne Russell, a sharp-eyed accountant, and her husband, Lawrence Russell, a practical civil engineer, often joined us for barbecues in the backyard. Those days were simple stories swapped over Mom's homemade lemonade, Dad's quiet pride in his fixer-upper projects. But even then, I noticed Mom's voice lift when she talked about Craig, his latest deal, his big plans. My role was quieter, steady, keeping things together. 5 years ago, I moved to Bakersfield, California to start as a financial analyst. The distance didn't loosen my grip on family duties. Mom would call, her tone warm but pressing, asking for help with their bills, electricity, water, sometimes Dad's car repairs or doctor visits for his back. "You're so good with numbers, Monica," she'd say. I sent checks, wired money, no questions asked. Once I covered their entire utility bill during a brutal summer, nearly $2,000, because Mom said their pension wasn't enough. Craig, always swamped with his real estate gigs, never pitched in. His flashy lifestyle, new suits, fancy dinners suggested success we all celebrated. I'd call him, hear about his latest sale, and feel a quiet pride. But the pattern was clear. Craig got the spotlight. I got the work. Mom would rave about his new listings, his bright future, while my steady job was just assumed. Dad, never one for words, would give me a nod when I helped with a home repair, a broken fence, a late payment. But he stayed quiet. I didn't question it. Family was family, and I was the one who kept us grounded. I'd send money for their groceries or Dad's physical therapy, no hesitation. Craig would show up for holidays, charm everyone with a story, then leave early for a client. "That's just Craig," Mom would laugh, brushing it off. I'd drive back to Fresno for Thanksgiving or Christmas, help Mom organize the kitchen, or sit with Dad in his garage, handing him tools while he tinkered. Joanne and Lawrence would come too. Joanne quizzing me about my job, Lawrence sharing stories about his latest bridge project. But the conversation always swung back to Craig, his deals, Mia's school awards. I didn't mind fading into the background. It was my role, the one who held things steady. I thought we were a team, that my efforts mattered to them as much as Craig's charm. That spring, I suggested the London trip for my parents' 30th wedding anniversary. I spent hours planning, imagining us all together making memories. Mom's excitement over the phone, Dad's rare grin when I mentioned London's history, Craig's texts about exploring pubs. It felt like we were finally aligned. I didn't see it then, but my role as the one who paid the bills, who kept quiet, was setting me up for something I never saw coming. As my parents' 30th anniversary approached, I was excited about the London trip I'd told everyone about before. I'd dreamed of a family trip, a chance to make memories we'd all cherish. Sitting at my desk in Bakersfield, I poured hours into crafting the perfect plan. We'd start with Big Ben's booming chimes, stroll through Buckingham Palace's gilded gates, and end evenings with West End musicals, Phantom of the Opera for Mom's love of drama. I imagined us all, Mom, Dad, my brother, his wife, their daughter, my aunt and her husband snapping photos at Tower Bridge, laughing over fish and chips. On a FaceTime call to Fresno, I shared the itinerary. "Monica, this is incredible." Virginia exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. Stanley, usually reserved, grunted approval, mentioning London's war history. My brother texted pubs and palaces I'm in. His wife gushed about shopping their daughter about Harry Potter tours. The excitement was contagious. I spent nights refining every detail, reserving spots for a Thames River cruise, booking theater tickets, mapping out Covent Garden's bustling markets. Our group chat lit up with ideas. Craig suggested a soccer match at Wembley, while Pamela pushed for a fancy tea at the Savoy for Mia. Joanne, ever organized, sent me a list of must-see museums. Lawrence wanted to tour old bridges. "You've outdone yourself," Virginia said during one call, her voice warm. I grinned, picturing us all together sharing a moment bigger than our usual Fresno gatherings. I even checked accessibility options for Dad's occasional back pain, ensuring every stop worked for him. Weeks flew by, the trip feeling more real with every email confirmation. I created a shared spreadsheet listing each day's plan: mornings at Trafalgar Square, afternoons in Hyde Park. Craig joked about sneaking into a pub crawl, while Pamela sent links to designer boutiques. Mia, 10 and full of energy, begged for a Hogwarts-themed tour. I loved their enthusiasm, spending extra hours ensuring every detail was perfect. Virginia called often, her ideas piling up: a visit to Kensington Gardens, a stop at a historic bakery. Stanley, less vocal, nodded when I mentioned the Imperial War Museum. Joanne and Lawrence offered to handle some bookings, but I waved them off, happy to take the lead. 6 weeks before we were set to leave, my phone rang. It was Virginia, her voice heavy. "Monica, we can't go," she said, catching me off guard. "We're short on funds, and your dad's back is acting up again, worse than usual." My chest tightened. The air sucked out of the room. I'd planned everything, poured my heart into it. "Mom, we can adjust," I said, scrambling. "Maybe a shorter trip, or I can help with costs." She shut it down fast. "No, it's too much. A simple dinner in Fresno will do." I pushed back, suggesting we delay a month, anything to save the plan. "It's not the right time," Virginia insisted, her tone sharp, final. I hung up, staring at the spreadsheet still open on my laptop. The disappointment hit hard. All those nights planning, all those shared dreams, gone in one call. I sat back, trying to make sense of it. Virginia had sounded so certain, and Dad's back issues weren't new. Maybe they were right. I thought a quiet dinner at their favorite Fresno bistro could still be meaningful. I told myself to trust them, to let go of the grand vision. But something didn't sit right, a nagging feeling I couldn't shake. I closed my laptop, the itinerary glowing on the screen, unaware that Virginia's words were hiding something I'd soon uncover. Even though the London trip fell through, I still wanted my parents to have a memorable anniversary. In my Bakersfield apartment, I spent a quiet evening piecing together a gift that felt personal, something to make Virginia and Stanley's 30th wedding celebration shine. I dug through boxes of old photos, pulling out moments from our Fresno childhood, Craig and me building forts in the backyard, Mom's laughter at Thanksgiving dinners, Dad's grease-streaked hands fixing his Chevy. I arranged them carefully in a leather-bound album, each page a thread of our family's history. I added a bottle of Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon, a wine they'd savored at every special occasion, its deep red label catching the light. My handwritten card poured out my love, my pen lingering over words about their strength as a couple. I imagined Mom's warm smile as she flipped through the album, Dad's quiet pride as he read my note. Mailing it felt too distant, so I decided to drive the 2 hours to Fresno myself, hoping to join their simple dinner and share the moment in person. The morning of their anniversary, I woke with a spark of excitement, my heart light at the thought of surprising them. I tucked the album wine and card into a gift bag, adding a small stuffed bear for Mia, picturing her delighted squeal. The drive to Fresno was familiar, the California sun warming the golden fields, my playlist humming with upbeat songs. I rehearsed what I'd say, imagining helping Mom set the table, teasing Lawrence about his bridge stories, catching up with Joanne over coffee. I pulled into their driveway just before noon, the house sitting quietly under a clear sky. Gift bag in hand, I walked to the front door, my steps eager. I knocked, waiting for Virginia's voice or Stanley's shuffle. Nothing. I rang the bell, then knocked again, louder. The silence was jarring, like a missed note in a familiar song. I stepped back, my stomach twisting. I circled the house, peering through the living room window. No lights, no decorations, no signs of the cozy gathering Mom had described. The kitchen was empty, no plates or flowers for a party. The garage door was up. Stanley's Chevy nowhere in sight. A cold unease crept over me, sharp and heavy. Virginia had been so clear about a quiet dinner at their favorite Italian bistro. Where were they? I dialed Mom's number, then Dad's both went straight to voicemail. I texted my brother, "Hey, I'm at Mom and Dad's for the anniversary. Where's everyone at?" No reply. I paced the porch, the gift bag growing heavy in my arms. Had they gone to Joanne's? Was Pamela hosting something last minute? I checked the time too early for a dinner out. The stillness of the house felt wrong, like a stage set left abandoned. I lingered, hoping someone would pull into the driveway, but the minutes dragged on. Finally, I set the gift by the door, tucking the card under the album to shield it from the wind. I scribbled a quick note, "Happy 30th, love Monica," and left it with the bear for Mia. The drive back to Bakersfield was heavy, the playlist now just background noise. I replayed Virginia's words about the cancellation, her insistence on money troubles, and Dad's back. The empty house didn't match her story. No one forgets an anniversary, especially not Mom, who thrived on family gatherings. I tried to rationalize it, maybe they'd gone to the bistro for lunch, or a sudden errand came up. But the unanswered calls, the silent texts, the deserted house, they all pointed to something I couldn't grasp. By the time I reached my apartment, a nagging doubt had settled in a whisper that the truth was hiding just out of reach. Back in Bakersfield, I couldn't shake the unease from finding Mom and Dad's house empty. The memory of their Fresno home curtains, closed no trace of the anniversary dinner Virginia had promised, looped in my mind. I'd left a carefully chosen gift by their door, picturing Mom's smile, Dad's quiet approval. But the silence of that deserted porch haunted me. At my desk, spreadsheets blurred as I wondered what I'd missed. Had they changed plans without a word? I opened our family group chat. My fingers hesitating before typing, "Happy 30th anniversary, Mom and Dad. Hope you're celebrating big." I added a heart emoji, expecting Pamela's usual flurry of replies or Mia's excited stickers. Hours passed, my phone dark. No response from Virginia, Stanley, or anyone, not even Joanne, who never missed a chance to chime in. The quiet was sharp, slicing through my attempts to stay calm. That night, restless and unable to focus, I turned to Facebook, scrolling to distract myself. Then I froze. A post from Craig's account stared back at me, time-stamped that morning. He was grinning in front of the London Eye, its giant wheel glowing against the Thames at dusk. My heart lurched. I clicked to the next photo, Pamela and Mia arms linked, laughing at a colorful street market, a red double-decker bus parked nearby. The caption read, "London Vibes, Best Trip Ever." More images loaded. Big Ben's Golden Glow Tower Bridge lit up a pub table with steaming fish and chips. Each one echoed my canceled itinerary, the one I'd poured weeks into planning. My hands shook as I held the phone, a rush of heat flooding my chest. They were in London, not in Fresno. The money problems and Dad's back excuses felt like shards of glass cutting through my trust. I called Craig, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "Hey, I was at Mom and Dad's today. No one was there." "What's happening?" I asked, hoping for clarity. His tone was curt, distracted. "Yeah, we're all just swamped. Random stuff," he said, cutting the call short before I could press him. His words rang false, a flimsy cover that only deepened my suspicion. I returned to the Facebook post, each photo a fresh wound. Craig's smug grin, Pamela's carefree laugh, Mia's wide-eyed joy. Why lie about a simple dinner? Why leave me out of my own plan? I opened the group chat again, typing, "Just saw your London pics." Craig looks incredible. I hit send, my pulse hammering, waiting for anyone to explain. The chat stayed silent. No replies from Pamela, Lawrence, or even Mia, whose silence hurt the most. I sank onto my couch, the phone slipping into my lap. Virginia's voice replayed, her firm cancellation, the talk of a quiet Fresno evening. The empty house I'd found made those words a lie. The Facebook posts weren't old. Their timestamps screamed today. My family, Virginia, Stanley, Craig, Pamela, Mia, likely Joanne and Lawrence, had taken my itinerary and gone without me. The realization burned, a mix of shock and betrayal settling deep. I stared at the ceiling, questions swirling. Why deceive me? Was it planned, all of them in on it? The unanswered messages in the group chat felt like a wall shutting me out. I knew I had to dig deeper, but the weight of their secrecy made every step feel heavier than the last. The day after, my anger still simmered unresolved. Craig's evasive call and the family's silent group chat gnawed at me, pushing me back to his Facebook profile. 50 photos flooded his page, each one a fresh wound. Virginia stood radiant before Big Ben's golden face. Stanley beside her, his stern expression softened by a rare smile. Pamela posed on Tower Bridge, her coat catching the breeze, while Mia clutched a plush red phone booth, her grin wide. The hardest to stomach was a shot at the Ivy, the restaurant I'd picked for its warm elegance, their plates laden with the roast I'd envisioned for our family dinner. Every image, West End theaters, Thames riverboats. Covent Garden's colorful chaos mirrored my itinerary, stolen and displayed without me. My breath caught a wave of betrayal crashing over me. Virginia's post deepened the sting. Her caption, "Unforgettable family trip," glowed with pride, a slap against her claim of financial hardship. Craig's next photo showed Pamela's wrist adorned with a gleaming Rolex, captioned, "Spoiling my girls." Another had Mia waving a deluxe Lego. Big Ben set its price tag far from frugal. The extravagance obliterated their excuses, Stanley's back pain, their supposed money troubles. They weren't struggling. They were indulging, living my dream, while I'd stood alone on their empty Fresno porch. My hands shook, rage and hurt twisting together in my chest. I met Leslie, my best friend, at a Bakersfield diner, spilling the story over coffee. "They used your plan and ditched you." Leslie snapped, her eyes blazing. "Monica, that's betrayal. You need to call them out now." Her fury fueled mine, but I needed more than anger. I needed proof. That afternoon, a text from Jared, Craig's college buddy, lit up my phone. "Heard about London," he wrote. "Virginia thinks you're too independent, didn't need the trip. She's focused on Craig, says he's under financial stress, needs family support." My stomach churned. Independent, I'd crafted that trip for them. And Craig stressed. His posts screamed luxury. Then Virginia called, her voice syrupy. "Monica, "We're in a pinch," she said. "Craig's debts are piling up $10,000. The London trip stretched us thin. Can you help?" My blood ran cold. The trip wasn't a hardship. It was a deliberate choice funded while I was sidelined. Her request was pure manipulation, propping up Craig yet again. I gave a vague reply, ending the call quickly. My laptop glowed as I saved screenshots of every post, Craig's smug selfies, Virginia's boastful caption, Pamela's watch. I commented on Craig's latest, "These London pics are stunning. When did you go?" No reply came, not from Pamela, not Joanne, their silence deafening. I leaned back my apartment quiet except for the hum of my fridge. Leslie's words urged action, but my analyst's mind demanded patience. Confronting them now would let them dodge again. I started a file labeled Family Proof, logging their lies, Virginia's cancellation, Craig's excuses, Jared's revelation. The screenshots were my evidence, a shield against their gaslighting. Their betrayal wasn't just exclusion. It was a calculated move to erase me from my own plan. As I saved the file, my resolve sharpened. I'd face them, but on my terms when my case was ironclad. The next evening, I sat down with my laptop hands trembling as I opened my email. My document of evidence screenshots notes Jared's text lay ready. I drafted an email to Virginia Stanley Craig and Pamela attaching the London photos, Big Ben Tower Bridge, the Ivy. "I planned this trip for us. I wrote my words sharp, but calm. You went without me, lied about money troubles, and used my itinerary. Why was I excluded?" I hit send, my heart pounding, knowing this was the confrontation I'd been building toward. Leslie's advice echoed in my head, but so did my need for clarity, for truth. Virginia's reply came within hours, her tone breezy. "Monica, it was a last-minute trip," she wrote. "We used travel points, nothing planned. You're blowing this out of proportion." Her dismissal stung a flimsy lie that didn't match the Rolex or Lego set Craig had flaunted. Craig's email followed, aggressive and cold. "You're so selfish, Monica," he wrote. "We needed this as a family, and you're mad because you didn't pitch in." His words twisted the knife, accusing me of abandoning them when I'd been the one betrayed. I stared at the screen, my anger flaring at their refusal to own up. A text from Jared popped up, his words hesitant. "I'm sorry, Monica," he wrote. "I didn't agree with Virginia's call to leave you out, but I couldn't change her mind. She's set on Craig." His apology, though sincere, didn't soften the blow. Virginia called later, her voice thick with tears. "Monica, we're family," she sobbed. "We needed that trip to stay close." "Can't you understand?" Craig chimed in on a follow-up call, his tone desperate. "It's for Mia," he said. "She needs stability, and we're drowning in debt, $10,000. Their pleas felt like a script, a final attempt to guilt me into compliance. I cut them off. "No more," I said, my voice steady. "I'm done helping." I blocked Virginia's number, then Stanley's, then Craig's. The act felt like slicing a rope that had tethered me to their lies for too long. My chest lightened, a strange relief mixing with the ache. 4 months later, I heard through a mutual friend that Craig had sold his prized Mustang to cover debts, his flashy lifestyle crumbling. Virginia and Stanley had gone silent. No calls, no emails, their absence a confirmation of their guilt. Pamela and Mia faded from my life too, their silence louder than words. Joanne and Lawrence, once warm, never reached out, their loyalty clearly elsewhere. In Bakersfield, I leaned into a new life. Leslie invited me to a book club where I met Agnes, a sharp-witted teacher who loved debating novels as much as I did. We'd spend evenings at a cozy cafe dissecting stories with a small group, our laughter filling the gaps my family left. I poured my energy into work, my financial analysis sharper than ever, and found peace in small moments. Sunsets over the valley, late-night talks with Leslie, Agnes's witty texts. I wasn't alone. I'd built something real, something mine. Looking back, I learned that setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. Family doesn't get a free pass to disrespect you, no matter how close the blood. Choosing myself was the hardest step, but it gave me freedom I didn't know I needed. To everyone who's followed this story, thank you for listening. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever had to draw a line with family? Share below, and let's talk about what it means to stand up for ourselves.